The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Written by Peter Gabriel, copyright 1974. Keep your fingers out of my eye. While I write, I like to glance at the butterflies in glass that are all around the walls. The people in memory are pinned to events I can't recall too well, but I'm putting one down to watch him break up, decompose, and feed another sort of life. The one in question is all fully biodegradable material and categorized as Rail. Rail hates me. I like Rail. Yes, even ostriches have feelings, but our relationship is something both of us are learning to live with. Rail likes a good time. I like a good rhyme, but you won't see me directly anymore. He hates my being around. So if his story doesn't stand, I might lend a hand, you understand? I.e., the rhyme is planned, dummies. The flickering needle jumps into red. New York crawls out of its bed. The weary guests are asked to leave the warmth of the all-night theater, having slept on pictures that others only dream on. The unpaid extras disturb the sleeping Broadway. Walk to the left, don't walk to the right. On Broadway, directions don't look so bright. Auto ghosts keep the pace for the cabman's early mobile race. Enough of this. Our hero is moving up the subway stairs into daylight. Beneath his leather jacket he holds a spray gun, which has left the message R-A-E-L in big letters on the wall leading underground. It may not mean much to you, but to Rail it is part of the process going towards making a name for yourself. When you're not even a purebred Puerto Rican, the going gets tough, and the tough gets going. With casual sideways glances along the wet street, he checks the motion into the steam to look for potential obstruction. Seeing none, he strides along the sidewalk, past the drugstore with iron guard being removed to reveal the smile of the toothpaste girl, past the night ladies and past patrolman Frank Leonowich, 48, married, 2 kids, who stands in the doorway of the wig store. Patrolman Leonowich looks at Rail in much the same way that other patrolmen look at him, and Rail only just hides that he is hiding something. Meanwhile, from out of the steam, a lamb lies down. This lamb has nothing whatsoever to do with Rail or any other lamb. It just lies down on Broadway. The sky is overcast, and Rail looks back. A dark cloud is descending like a balloon into Times Square. It rests on the ground and shapes itself into a hard, flat-edged surface, which solidifies and extends itself all the way east and west along 47th Street and reaching up to the dark sky. As the wall takes up its tension, it becomes a screen showing what had existed in 3 dimensions on the other side just a moment before. The image flickers and then cracks like painted clay, and the wall silently moves forward, absorbing everything in its path. The unsuspecting New Yorkers are apparently blind to what's going on. Rail starts to run away towards Columbus Circle. Each time he dares to take a look, the wall has moved another block. At the moment when he thinks he's maintaining his distance from the wall, the wind blows hard and cold, slowing down his speed. The wind increases, dries the wet street, and picks up the dust off the surface, throwing it into Rail's face. More and more dirt is blown up, and it begins to settle on Rail's skin and clothes, making a solid layered coat that brings him gradually to a terrified stillness. A sitting duck. The moment of impact bursts through the silence, and in a roar of sound the final second is prolonged in a world of echoes, as if the concrete and clay of Broadway itself was reliving its memories. The last great march past. Newsman stands limp as a whimper as audience and event are locked as one. Bing Crosby coos, "You don't have to feel pain to sing the blues. You don't have to holler. You don't feel a thing in your dollar collar." Martin Luther King cries, "Everybody sing!" and rings the grand old Liberty Bell. Leary, weary of his prison cell, walks on heaven, talks on hell. JFK gives the OK to shoot us, sipping Orange Julius and Lemon Brutus. Bare-breasted cowboy double-decks the triple champion. Who needs Medicare and the 35C flat-rate fare when Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers are dancing through the air? From Broadway melody stereotypes, the band returns to Stars and Stripes, bringing a tear to the moonshiner. who's been pouring out his spirit from the illegal still. The pawnbroker clears the noisy till and clutches his lucky dollar bill. Then the blackout. Rail regains consciousness in some musky half-light. He is warmly wrapped in some sort of cocoon. The only sound he can hear is dripping water, which appears to be the source of a pale, flickering light. He guesses he must be in some sort of cave, or kooky tomb, or catacomb, or eggshell waiting to drop from the bone of the womb. Whatever it is, he feels serene, very clean, and content as a well-kept dummy with hot water in his tummy, so why worry what it means? Resigning himself to the unknown, he drifts off into sleep. He wakes in a cold sweat with a strong urge to vomit. There is no sign of the cocoon, and he can see more of the cave about him. There is much more of the glowing water dripping from the roof, and stalactites and stalagmites are forming and decomposing at an incredible rate all around him. As fear and shock register, he assures himself that self-control provides some security, but this thought is abandoned as the stalactites and stalagmites lock into a fixed position, forming a cage whose bars are moving in towards him. At one moment there is a flash of light, and he sees an infinite network of cages, all strung together by a rope-like material. As the rocky bars press in on Rail's body, he sees his brother John outside, looking in. John's face is motionless, despite screams for help, but in his vacant expression a tear of blood forms and trickles down his cheek. Then he calmly walks away, leaving Rail to face the pains which are beginning to sweep through his body. However, just as John walks out of sight, the cage dissolves and Rail is left spinning like a top. When all this revolution is over, he sits down on a highly polished floor while his dizziness fades away. It is an empty modern hallway, and the dream doll saleslady sits at her reception desk. Without prompting, she goes into a rap. This is the grand parade of lifeless packaging. Those you are about to see are all in for servicing, except for a small quantity of our new product in the second gallery. It is all the stock required to cover the existing arrangements of the enterprise. Different batches are distributed to area operators, and there are plenty of opportunities for the large investor. They stretch from the costly care-conditioned to the most reasonable malnutritioned. We find here that everyone's looks become them, except for the low-market malnutritioned. Each is provided with a guarantee for a successful birth and trouble-free infancy. There is, however, only a small amount of variable choice potential, not too far from the mean differential. You see, the roof has predetermined the limits of action on any group of packages, but individuals may move off the path if their diversions are counterbalanced by others. As he wanders along the line of packages, Rail notices a familiarity in some of their faces. He finally comes upon the members of his old gang, and worries about his own safety. Running out through the factory floor, he catches sight of his brother John with the number 9 stamped on his forehead. No one seems to take up the chase, and with the familiar faces fresh in his mind, he moves into a reconstruction of his old life above ground. Too much time was one thing he didn't need, so he used to cut through it with a little speed. He's better off dead than slow in the head. His mamma and papa had taken a ride on his back, so he left very quickly to join the pack. Only after a spell in Pontiac Reformatory was he given any respect in the gang. Now, walking back home after a raid, he was cuddling a sleeping porcupine. That night he pictured the removal of his hairy heart, and to the accompaniment of very romantic music he watched it being shaved smooth by an anonymous stainless steel razor. The palpitating cherry-red organ was returned to its rightful place, and began to beat faster as it led our hero, counting out time, to his first romantic encounter. He returns from his mixed-up memories to the passage he was previously stuck in. This time he discovers a long carpeted corridor. The walls are painted in red ochre and are marked by strange insignia, some looking like a bullseye, others of birds and boats. Further down the corridor he can see some people, all kneeling. With broken sighs and murmurs they struggle, in their slow motion, to move towards a wooden door at the end. Having seen only the inanimate bodies in the grand parade of lifeless packaging, Rail rushes to talk to them. "What's going on?" he cries to a muttering monk, who concerns a yawn and replies, "It's a long time yet before the dawn." A sphinx-like crawler calls his name, saying, "Don't ask him. The monk is drunk. Each one of us is trying to reach the top of the stairs. A way out will await us there. Not asking how he can move freely, our hero goes boldly through the door. Behind a table loaded with food is a spiral staircase going up into the ceiling. At the top of the stairs he finds a chamber. It is almost a hemisphere with a great many doors all the way around its circumference. There is a large crowd huddled in various groups. From the shouting, Rael learns that there are 32 doors, but only one leads out. The voices get louder and louder until Rael screams, "Shut up!" There is a momentary silence, and then Rael finds himself the focus as they direct their advice and commands to their newfound recruit. Bread on trash, fed on ash, the jigsaw master has got to move faster.